Welcome back to Legacy by Design. My name is Terence Shigg. I am your host and the president and founder of Legacy by Design. Today, you just got me. There's no guest today, but next week, we're going to have a special guest, Mr. Santos Silva, who is an educator of educators and teaching cultural diversity and responsibility in teaching, and I'll have him as my special guest, so definitely tune in next week. That'll be a very, very special podcast. Well, today I'm working on being more, professional with this podcast system, so bear with me. Today I really want to talk about, and the thing that I've been going over my head is, and I hope this is beneficial to someone else going through the process, is what makes Legacy by Design unique? What makes my mission of value? And I really believe that the value of Legacy by Design is the fact that it is helping individuals and organizations, like my mission says, not only learn positive growth systems, but prepare for the future. We hear in the news and we talk about it amongst each other and ourselves about being prepared, or really just the inevitable, what's coming, which is artificial intelligence is here, general intelligence is coming, there are certain jobs that will disappear, there will be a portion of the population that will be displaced. And I don't say that from a doom and gloom perspective. I don't say that so that you are scared or concerned for the future. I say that to give you a sense of control and agency, to know that you can deal with whatever's coming, that this is, although to a larger scale, this is the nature of progress and human existence. We've had these things occur and displaced segments of the population, even in the history of America. This has been a systematic thing. Through the history of the world and globally, this has been a systematic thing. As progress goes, jobs change, employment changes. And so with that, I wanted to talk about some of the historical evidence of that, from things as simple as a nail gun. People used to when they built things, they had to use a hammer and a nail. And before the nail, they used mud and water. But now they upgraded to the nail and the hammer. Then they upgraded to the nail gun, which made it even faster, which means you needed less people to build buildings and houses. But we wouldn't go back to the hammer just, for authenticity. You want those progresses. And so those people that used to be employed hammering nails were displaced. And then you go even further, you think of computers and how those displaced the typewriter. I'm old enough to remember being in a job when you had the typewriter, and that's all you had. And you had to type on an electric typewriter. Now, go back to my mom, who worked for the government as a secretary and as a contract specialist, and her job was typing. That goes back to the day before the electric typewriter, when they just had the manual one. So they had to teach people how to use these things as they progressed from the manual typewriter to the electric typewriter to the computer. And I smile as I think about the computer, because I remember being in the workplace and we had the electric typewriters, and you could program things in there and you could correct things for the normal paperwork if you're just writing a one sheet. But we had to do paperwork that had carbon copies. And for those of you that don't know what that is you had one piece of paper, and then you had a piece of carbon paper, which is basically just a piece of paper with ink on it. And then you had another piece of paper that was a copy of the top paper underneath. So when you typed, you made two copies. I know, mind-blowing. You would type on one, and then it would make a copy onto another one, which was, that was thought to be the greatest invention since sliced bread, because now you made double work, you made half the work. So again, an improvement that made things faster, but wasn't as efficient as it could be, because now if you had to correct something, you had to start all over, because even though you could correct the top paper, you couldn't correct the bottom one, because it was a carbon copy of everything that you've done on the top. And then now you get into the computers. And I remember being at a job where the old timers, the veterans or the journeymen, were looking at this computer as just a giant paperweight, because they so used to working on the electric computers and the electric typewriters, and they had that down like a science. But now you introduce this computer thing that you could type on a screen and then hit print and correct it right there on the screen and print as many as you want after you typed one version. Oh my goodness, that was just, again, mind-blowing. So as these things, we create new things, and that's all AI is. It's a tool that we've created. It's a very powerful tool, and if you want to get some good information on it, look up a gentleman by the name of Mo Godot, and he wrote a book called Scary Smart. And it's really a good informational book that talks about AI and general intelligence from a societal perspective, and what our responsibilities are, and how we still have some control over this, and the parameters that we need to be aware of, and what our responsibilities should be going into this new age, so to speak. And really wanted to get into this because Legacy by Design was an idea of preparing for future generations, preparing our wealth, preparing our knowledge, preparing our experiences, and learning in the present so that we could pass that on to the next generation, be it your siblings, be it your children, be it your great-grandchildren, and in a way speed up the process. But what I've discovered is in this, recognizing that in this process, there is a gap, it seems like. There are those that understand that things are changing, that the workplace is changing, that the mindset of those in the workplace is changing, and those that are just trying to survive, meaning just taking what they've been given, working the system that they have, and just trying to hustle to make it. And I don't think the two need to be separate. I think you can merge them, and you merge them with information. You merge them with a sense of control, and that's what this whole idea really is. And you merge them with a sense of purpose and a system. So you build a system that does what you want, that can prepare you for whatever is to come. So if it's AI or GI or whatever you want to call it, then you prepare for the jobs that are going to be displaced. And my goal is at some point to even reach out to the corporations that are saying, hey, we don't need this many servers anymore. We don't need this many workers anymore. Come here, show us how to teach our workforce the next level. And I remember a story, I believe it was IBM, when they came out with the electric typewriter. They had a lot of people working on manual typewriters and doing the work, and realized that at some point they're going to have to make this transition, and no one knew how to use the new ones. So rather than going out and getting a whole new workforce that already knew how, they trained their current workforce on how to use the new technology. And to me, that's the system of the future. That's the system that needs to be embraced by corporations and companies going forward. Instead of saying, okay, we don't need this workforce anymore because this program can do that, why don't we take our workforce, and even if they don't stay in the employ of the organization, why don't we train them to do something else? Train them to do something that is of value to society and that is in alignment with their values. If we treat our employees and respect the value and the sacrifice that they've made for the organization, how just fair or conscientious or smart, for lack of a better word, would it be to just train them to do something that would benefit society, rather than just giving them either the boot or a severance package, or just saying, okay, go out there and figure it out. Thank you for your service. Here's your, your certificate. It's not even a gold watch anymore. Now they just give you a certificate. And for those of you, again, that don't get the reference, back in the day when people retired, they gave them like a gold watch or something going out the door. The goal would be now for organizations to say, okay, this thing is coming. Mogodot gives a great example in the book Scary Smart, where he gives you a scenario. And in the scenario, he says, we're camping out in the wild. We're away from the city. We're out here in the wild by the lake, sitting by the campfire. And then he says, okay, we could be out here for many reasons, but two of them that we want to focus on is, one, we're out here enjoying the extra time that we have now that we have general intelligence, and general intelligence has taken over a lot of the tasks that were necessary for us as humanity to do. And we're enjoying that time and being able to be out here and connect and study philosophy and develop our minds. That's one scenario. The other scenario is we've given control over to the computers and to general intelligence, and we're out here hiding from the computers because they've taken over and we have lost control of society. And that may be two extremes, but it is something to recognize. And I always, when I hear these things, I think about, but we have a sense of agency. We have a sense of control if we take it now. And part of taking it now is not only putting responsible parameters on artificial intelligence and general intelligence, which is something that he speaks about. And a funny part of that he talks about is knowing that as artificial intelligence learns, it's learning from us. So it's learning by the information that we give it. So every time that you interact with this artificial intelligence, every time you give it a prompt, you should treat that prompt as if it's teaching it something. So, in other words, saying please and thank you in this prompt is really not just because it's necessary so that you can teach this being, this entity, this computer, how humans interact. We interact with courtesy, with politeness, with care and compassion. And that in and of itself would teach this program that this is how we treat each other, and therefore that is how you treat you should treat us also. So just little things like that, changing our frame, our mindset from, okay, this is a pencil. Why would I say thank you to a pencil? Because that pencil is totally at your control. But at some point, this artificial intelligence, if not done in the manner that is correct in teaching, then it will be controlled by itself. And so now is the time that all of us have the ability to influence that learning of the artificial intelligence. And you do that by how you interact with it, how you interact with each other. Because I'm not a, what do you call it? I'm not one of those people that are paranoid and think that, okay, the government's watching everything. But all of that data, all those emails, all that information that you write, and all the things that how you speak to each other and what you talk into this little, pocket computer, AI has access to that. And so if we are disrespectful and rude to one another, and that's how we treat each other, then that's what this intelligence learns, is that's how we want to be treated. And so that's my sidebar. The idea really is to prepare as best you can for the future. And I believe the future belongs to creators, creatives, entrepreneurs, people who build things that are in alignment with their values and bring value to society. Now, those things change, and I think in the United States, we're in a great environment for it. We have our good things and bad things, but the one thing that we do have is it's a capitalist society, which means it's based on value. And if you can create something of value, it will always be valuable. If you create something of value, it will always be valuable. Now, what that value is and how long that value lasts, now that's debatable, because that's based on the system. But if you build a system that's on that, that's based on that, that knows that, you'll always be able to provide means and always be able to receive resources. And that's the goal. The goal is to be able to have enough resources, not just cash, but have enough resources of time and energy to be able to teach those things and pass those things along to your kids and their kids. And the example that I always think of is as a parent of adults and a future teenager almost. I know that the one thing that I've been able to do is to start them further ahead than where I started. Meaning, my parents didn't go to college or graduate college or have the means to provide for me to go to college. So I had to start from scratch. I had the resource, I had the background, I had the support, but went to college, graduated from college, got my master's degree, and now I'm able to provide that base for my kids to go, okay, college is something that you have to experience at least. And I joke about it because my older ones, there was no option of whether or not they were going to college. It was, okay, this is the next step. Now, one graduated, the other one got to 3 years and decided it wasn't for him. But the point being, they had to go. They had to experience it and then decide for themselves, because that was part of the program, that was part of the legacy that I wanted for them. And that's the idea. So how do you prepare for this? How do you get to a place where you are able to adapt to what's coming? And that's where we start. We start with, okay, I want to be able to provide something, a foundation that will start my kids off at a better place than I started off and allow them to speed this process up. And even if it's not your children directly, it's okay, what do I need to do so that I can be in alignment with my values and create something so that I'm prepared for whatever comes. So when I'm sitting at that campsite in the forest and general intelligence has taken over, have I prepared so that I will always have the resources and be able to create something of value, so that I will always be able to get valuable resources and funding to support my ventures and what I want to do? And you can do that. And that's where creatives come in. That's where entrepreneurs come in. And that's where really taking a hold of the agency that you have and creating something that is yours, that is unique to you, but that provides value. I love, and I don't know who coined it. I heard it from Russell Brunson. And Russell Brunson is somebody that does a thing called ClickFunnels, which is, it's a website, basically. It's a way to simplify a website so that you can get your information out there to those people that need the service that you provide, be it a product or information. And the idea is creating what he calls a blue ocean. There's a blue ocean and a red ocean. So you could provide a service that is something that anyone or a lot of people provide, be it you could be a notary, you could be a tattoo artist, you could be a therapist. There's lots of people that do all of those things, and that would be the red ocean. Now, making it into something that is unique to you is how you make that a blue ocean. So as a therapist, for me, being someone that also does coaching and business consulting and does it from the standpoint of preparing you and your family for generations to come, that makes it a blue ocean. My system that is unique to the way that I create and teach people how to create that system, meaning I teach people to develop and implement positive growth systems. The way that I do that, my system for doing that, is unique to me. I created that. I came up with that. I'm the one that teaches that. And that is my blue ocean. The concept around that of systems, everyone has a system. Everyone has a way of teaching it. But mine is unique because it incorporates not only AI, not only health and wellness and mental health, but it also incorporates a system that binds all those things together and analyzes it with your outcome. That's what makes Legacy by Design unique. That's what makes it a blue ocean. And so that can be done for anything. So learning how to take what you do and what your skills are and why it's important to you. Why do you love the art part of becoming and doing art for tattoo artists, as a tattoo artist? What makes it unique in your passion and why they should follow you and allow you to do that? As a notary even, there's a way to make that a blue ocean. Why is this something, and how do you provide it as someone that is doing this in a unique way, in a unique fashion, and a convenient way? A perfect example, and as I say convenient, I think of convenience stores. 7-Eleven, greatest store on the planet, in my opinion. I love 7-Eleven. There's everything in there. You can get beer, hamburgers, coffee, snacks. You can get a meal. You can probably have books in there by the next time I look around. But they have everything there. But the idea is it's a convenience store. Their blue ocean is they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can get anything that you need there. That's a blue ocean. There's lots of convenience stores, and by nature of how close they are to where you live is how convenient they are. But 7-Eleven has a whole new blue ocean on it, because some of them even sell gasoline, which makes them even more unique. But they have everything from energy drinks to coffee to tea to pizza right there by the slice, to wings, hot dogs, all the things that you may just go, okay, I just need to go and get a quick, it's their blue ocean. And you can do that. And that's why I say entrepreneurs will lead the way in the future, not based on just hyperbole and what I think, but if you go back in history, entrepreneurs and creatives have led the way and have been more and more important in times of crisis than any other time. But they've always been a significant part of history. If you go back to the Wright brothers, if you go back to the invention of the stoplight, if you go to all these people are creatives, to Steve Jobs and Apple, if you go to Google, if you go to Bill Gates, all of these people have created things and sometimes been so good at it that they've created things that we didn't even know we needed, that we can't even live without now. Look at the phone, the pocket phone. We didn't, back in the day, we had house phones with the long cord on it. And if you wanted privacy, you had to drag that thing into your room and close the door and then have to argue with your parents about whether or not you could close the door. It was nothing like this, where you could be outside in your car on this little bitty device. But creatives came up with that. Creatives and entrepreneurs have always led the way. So why wouldn't we, even if we have this ability to have artificial intelligence help us with doing some of the tasks that we can have them do in the long run, be it driving cars, be it, figuring out marketing programs. It's going to be the creatives that are able to incorporate that into the future, into the next business, into the next level, be it sitting in that campfire, being able to become intellectuals again, discuss philosophy again, strategies about how to make humanity better again. And so this, like I said, this podcast is a little bit different. I don't have a guest to keep you occupied, but I get to share some of my thoughts and my insights and the real reason why I'm passionate about Legacy by Design, because it is the future. And not just based on the name, but based on the idea of, okay, we have these challenges that are coming up. These challenges of displacement. There will be displacement. And that means that there will be large swaths of jobs that will no longer exist. And I say that not out of fear, but just out of awareness. And it will be at a level that has never been seen before. Meaning we've had displacement throughout the years. We talked about that. But the levels that it's going to come and the speed that it's going to come in the future is going to be more than it's ever been. And this is how we prepare for it. And this is how we responsibly prepare for it. We go, okay, those jobs may not be here, but I will create something of value. I will create an industry. I will create a way of benefiting society so that it will benefit me. I will create something of value that is in alignment with my values, and I will be successful. And that's where we are. And these are the steps that we can take now to prepare for the future. And that's what Legacy by Design is designed to do. Thank you for tuning in. And if you enjoyed these episodes, I ask if you would just like, subscribe, share with your families and friends, because we're just getting started. This movement is really going to be putting together a group of like-minded individuals, a community that's going to support each other, a community that's going to be ready for the future. We're going to take steps and put things in place so that when the future comes and that idea of displacement comes, that you're going to be ready. If you tune in and if you work with me and if you listen to these ideas and take action on them, be it and I'll get on my soapbox for a little bit. I was almost done. I was almost there. Okay, so one of my big things that I've been thinking about lately is we have this cognitive dissonance in society, meaning we are dug into what we believe and we don't want to hear anything different. And if you tell me something different, that just makes me believe what I believe even more. And that works all the way from the federal government to the local state, to the state government, to the city government, and everybody picks a side. Okay, I'm red, I'm blue, I'm Republican, I'm liberal, and blah, 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 blah. What I think that we should really be focusing on is our communities and working together to make our communities better. Working together to get to know our neighbors. Working together to say, okay, what do we need to do to improve this community? Is that just me going out there and taking care of my lawn and making sure that my house is presentable and doing the upkeep on it and waving at my neighbor? If it's as simple as that, do it. I love watching the videos where the people volunteer and they come and they clean up somebody's front yard and they make it, all nice, and it was overgrown, and it's usually some elderly person that couldn't do it, and somebody comes in and helps them out. That's the template. That's the guide. Is helping one another do things from a place of what your gift is to do. If your gift is landscaping, go out there and be the best landscaper you can be and help in your community. Start there. Start with your house, your yard, your neighbor's yard, your community. Stop worrying about what they're doing in, Washington, D.C. and how they're saying that nobody cares and talks about this, because that's a lie. If they are saying nobody talks about it, it's impossible because they are talking about it. So it can't be nobody. They are talking about it. So again, that's my soapbox. So start with your community. And the idea behind Legacy by Design is to design a system that will allow you to start with your values, with what you find valuable and what your gifts, skills, and abilities are, so that you can build something that will be a legacy that you can pass on to your kids and your kids' kids for generations to come. And by example, by sample, improve society at this point in time, so that when we get to that future point and we're sitting at that campfire, we can be there because we are there to enjoy nature and to talk about how society has improved and what we're going to do to continue to improve it. So that's all for today. Thank you for tuning in. Again, next week, I will have my friend, Mr. Jonathan Santos Silva, an educator of educators, on. So stay tuned, listen in next time, and I will talk to you then.